Right now on News 3 Now at 10, people are still away from their homes tonight in Columbus, awaiting for floodwaters to recede. Plus, is it a sign of what's to come? The Wisconsin Badgers have a rough day in Chicago. Melissa Kim has those details.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Dozens of evacuees in Columbus are still waiting to go back home tonight as street water levels remain high. Our Madeline O'Neill has an update from Columbus.
Crawfish River here has gone down since Friday, but River Road here still looks more like a river than a road, and people who live down this way are still waiting to go home.
I'm stressed. I'm really stressed. I've had a headache for the last couple days just thinking about everything.
When you can't go home,
it's been a lot of chaos.
It's hard to not think about all you've left behind.
My son is worried about his cats more than anything because those are his little fur babies.
Kara O'Brien is one of more than 40 residents in Columbus who were strongly encouraged to leave their homes because of flooding since Thursday.
It was scary leaving the first night, and then I heard it was worse yesterday, so I'm a little scared.
It's been a crazy couple days, and it sounds like it might be a crazy couple more.
Nicole Owens needs to pick up medications for her in-laws.
Medications and anybody with pets that have to go back, those are the big important things.
Now Owens, O'Brien, and others are allowed a quick trip back just for the necessities.
The 4 Ps, purses, pills, phones, pets.
High water may be helping some in Columbus get around better than usual, but everyone else has to get a little creative.
It's an armored vehicle that the SWAT team uses, and because of its size and big enough, it can go across the water.
I'm kind of nervous about the big vehicles, and I think I was doing okay until I got on the bus and saw all these other people, and that's kind of when I teared up, because knowing that I'm just not the only one affected.
It may be a brief stop home.
I'd be very happy to see the water go down so I can live a normal life and sit on my own couch again.
But it's a reminder of what's important.
We have a good community, so hopefully we all pull together.
Officials say it will likely be a couple of days until River Road is open and people can go back home for good. It'll be even longer for the bridge here. Reporting in Columbus, Madeline O'Neill, News 3 Now.
Fire officials say they'll be keeping an eye on how much water comes downstream from the north over the next couple of days. They ask that people stay away from those barricaded areas. All right, let's get a look at your first alert weather with Dave Caulfield out on the patio. Dave.
Well, Amanda, the atmosphere cooperating today, and I think it will continue to cooperate into the next couple of days as temperatures won't be all that warm, so the melting won't be as quick as it was earlier in the week. And we've been rain and snow free for the past couple of days as well, which also really helps in a situation like this. The snow just to our southwest late this evening, affecting spots like Waterloo and into portions of southeastern Iowa and northwestern Illinois. I do think that system misses us, although a few flurries are possible later on St. Patrick's Day for southern Wisconsin. Shouldn't really affect us all that much, though. Live look in Madison, the WISC-TV Skycam. Temperatures are in the upper 20s right now with mostly clear skies in Madison, 30 in Lone Rock, 32 at the freezing mark in Monroe and Mineral Point. Wind speeds not too bad tonight with high pressure nearby. It's helping our winds stay calm and our wind chills stay pretty close to what the thermometer is suggesting. So temperatures falling into the middle 20s with the clouds on the increase overnight. Highs will be in the low 40s for St. Patrick's Day. So the seasonably chilly weather continuing into the start of next week. We'll talk about when the 50s return to the forecast in your News 3 Now First Alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Dave. Although we don't have any significant chances for rain anytime soon, the heavy rain and snow melt earlier this week are continuing to impact our communities. Adam Duxter is in Lodi, one of the hardest hit areas for flooding.
Amanda, I'm at the Crystal Lake campground where flooding has displaced more than 30 families overnight. But for those who have lived here the longest, these last few days, incredibly difficult. Freezing water submerging the homes of dozens of people near Crystal Lake tonight. It's the place Craig Raker has called home since he was a teenager.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. Beautiful people. You know, it's a tight community. Everybody, knows everybody.
On Thursday night, water from the lake started coming up to Craig's backyard. He tried to do everything he could.
So I grabbed my shovel and I went down to the shoreline and tried to stop it with my shovel.
But it wasn't enough.
Everything's froze, and you could only get like a couple inches of dirt, and with all the pumps pumping water into the lake, it was just rushing back in faster than we could do anything about it.
The camp cutting off his power and water.
That floor is wet. You know, that's ruined. That insulation's soaked. So that trailer's gone. That one's gone. Anything they have in their, you know, outside in their shed is floating.
Now Raker is left to sort out years of memories and belongings. But he says what he needs most at this moment is help.
People live down here. You know, I'm out. I have no electricity, no water, no sewer, no nothing. So what do? You know, they were nice enough to give me a cabin to stay in with me and my son. You know, we need help.
The flooding in Lodi this week setting a record, and while the water along the river has gone down, it's no telling how long it will take the water on the lake to recede. In Lodi, Adam Duxter, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Adam. Updating some news around the state now. Police believe they have found the body of 2-year-old Nolani Robinson after a week-long search. The body was found last night off the shoulder of a road near Austin, Minnesota.
And just off the shoulder was a blanket. Inside that blanket and wrapped in there was a body of a child, we believed is that of Nolani.
Nolani went missing on Monday after her mother, Sierra Robinson, was found murdered. Investigators think the mother was killed by Nolani's father, Darius Higgins. Officers believe Higgins then took Nolani and stayed at least one night in Austin, where her body was found. In a report released by the medical examiner earlier tonight, it says Nolani was likely killed by blunt force trauma to the head. Jamie Klaus's suspected kidnapper spoke exclusively with our news partners in Minneapolis from behind bars. Jake Patterson says he wants to talk to Jamie, but knows he can't. She went missing last October after her parents were shot and killed at their rural Barron County home. Investigators and the community searched for Jamie for 88 days. During that time, Patterson said he liked being around her.
You're just like watching TV, playing board games, and talking about stuff. We cooked a lot because like everything we made was homemade.
Patterson says he has regrets about what happened, but wouldn't elaborate on what those regrets are. Meanwhile, the Barron community welcomed Elizabeth Smart to their town last night. Smart, a well-known child safety activist and kidnapping victim herself, spoke at Barron High School about how to move on from Jamie's kidnapping.
And I find it inspiring to see so many of you here tonight in support of Jamie, in moving forward and in reclaiming all of your lives, because this has touched so many people, so many more people even than just in this room. And it's inspiring and encouraging.
Smart was abducted from her bedroom in 2002 at knife point and was missing for 9 months. Smart said while the event changed her life, it doesn't have to define her. A man was sent to the hospital after a small vehicle explosion in East Madison last night. Police say he walked to his car around 10 o'clock on Brandy Road with a lit cigarette, and when he opened the door, there was an explosion. He had repaired his car earlier that week. He went to the hospital with non-life-threatening burns. Police and fire officials are investigating what caused it. More local news now. It's the end of the road in the Big Ten tournament for the Wisconsin Badgers today. News 3 Now's Melissa Kim is in Chicago with more.
Well, this was really a tough one here tonight. The Badgers losing to Michigan State for the 7th game in a row. 67-55 the final score in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament. Now, UW never led in the game, but continuing to fight despite being down by double digits. Second half was really tough. They just couldn't get any shots to fall, shooting 32% from the field and 2 of 19 from 3 in the entire game. You can't really do that against any Michigan State squad, but especially one with Big Ten Player of the Year Cassius Winston, who scored a game-high 21 points. But it's not over yet for Wisconsin. They'll find out their NCAA tournament fate tomorrow on Selection Sunday. We'll have more coming up from the locker room a little bit later in sports. At the United Center, Melissa Kim, News 3 Now Sports.
Thank you, Melissa. A historic moment for the New Glarus boys basketball team. The Glarner Knights beat the Oshkosh Lords in the Division IV Championship this afternoon at the Kohl Center. It's the school's first WIAA gold ball and the team's first visit to the tournament since 1932. The community celebrated with a big pep rally this afternoon in the school's gym.
Feels awesome. You know, we've been having support all year, and especially coming down the stretch. It's just, the community's been incredible.
News 3 Now's sports director Jay Wilson will have a full recap of a busy Saturday of sports that's coming up in about 15 minutes. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 10, how local health officials are educating the community about Alzheimer's disease and the risk facing minority communities. Welcome back. It is St. Patrick's Day weekend and a Madison tradition raced through the streets this morning. The annual Shamrock Shuffle 10 and 5K races kicked off this morning on the corner of Francis and State Streets. Money from the race goes to the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. Organizers say some of the money will go to the Boys and Girls Club's efforts in Sun Prairie.
A lot of our dollars and a lot of our energy is going out there because we really are excited to expand out to Sun Prairie.
Over the years, the race has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in Chicago, another annual St. Patrick's Day tradition for the 57th time. Boats in the downtown loop put environmentally friendly green pigment into the Chicago River. The city also held its annual parade, a tradition that dates back to 1843. Well, after a long day, 3 students from around the state will go to the National Scripps Spelling Bee in May.
Curriculum, C-U-R-R-I-C-U-L-U-M, curriculum.
Correct. Today was the Badger State Spelling Bee. 47 students competed, but only the top 2 will represent Wisconsin nationally. Coming out on top, 10-year-old Fitchburg Eagle student Maya Jodhav She won by spelling the word lapilli. 11-year-old Emmanuel Gaveas from Menominee Falls came in second, and third-place winner Aryan Kaluvala of Richfield Middle School will get to travel to the bee but will not get to compete. Researchers say keeping your brain healthy can help prevent Alzheimer's disease, a lesson talked about at today's 9th annual Brain Health Brunch, honoring Dr. Solomon Carter Fuller, an African-American psychiatrist who was instrumental in the original diagnosis of the disorder. Memory loss is especially prevalent in the African-American community, but it does not discriminate. Today's event brought people information about ways to help prevent the disease by eating healthy foods and exercising, both physically